Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Vision Untethered Podcast, conversations with inspirational leaders. My name is Jill Simonds, founder of Savvy Strategic Partners. We are a dedicated leadership team of fractional executives that are executing vision, increasing business value, and helping founder owners realize freedom. Today's guest is the incredible Erin Fletter, founder of Sticky Fingers Cooking, a fun and educational culinary company focused on teaching children how to cook through hands-on experiences. With a passion for nutrition, creativity, and fostering lifelong skills, Erin's mission is to inspire young chefs to embrace the joy of cooking while learning about healthy eating. Erin, thank you so much for joining us today and being my guest.
Thank you, Jill. I'm thrilled.
I do have to point out too, just as we were talking before we started recording, for those that are just listening, your brand is all over you and what you're wearing and your wallpaper behind you as vegetables and the healthy nutrition and cooking that you inspire. Your wallpaper is vegetables, and then she has carrots on her sweater. It's adorable.
I
I just
sure
have to
do.
point that out.
I have a whole closet of food themed clothing that I wear more often than not.
Who would have thought too? I didn't think to ever really look for that. And when you see it somewhere, it's probably like it's made for you. So
Now
cute.
people gift me, carrot sweaters and,
Hmm.
orange tops and avocado dresses.
Yes, you're a walking brand. Anything food related now. And now I'm gonna see it everywhere and feel like you need to have it. That's so funny.
Exactly.
So what inspired your journey into business ownership and led you to choose this industry?
Yeah, I've always had an entrepreneurial mindset. I never really
Hmm.
knew what I was going to do as a young person, as many young people don't. And I always drawn to the arts. I was like a visual artist, but I was always so insecure about my art. Um, I
Hmm.
I grew up being able to travel the world with my mother, who was she was a travel agent, and as an only child, I was often her sidekick, and so I've been fortunate enough to go to all seven continents with her, and so
Oh my
looking,
goodness.
yeah, and when the path to life is never linear, is it? It's zigzagging,
Mm,
goes up
yeah.
elevation, it goes down in elevation, it goes all around. But looking back, I'm looking at all these things that kind of shaped me with my love of art and my love of travel. And then, I met my husband. We just celebrated 29 years together. And we have three amazing daughters. And when I became a mother, I really got into cooking. That was something I
Hmm.
always loved to eat, but it was something that really kind of came together for me. My mother growing up was a hippie, so she would make
Mm,
bread, make her own yogurt, things that I was always kind of like, oh, it was a little unusual. But I kind of brought all of these things together, and then really I started bringing my kids into the kitchen because it was something that was super natural to me. And
hmm.
then I was introduced to after school enrichment. And Jill, I know you have three daughters too. And so um,
Yeah.
many years ago, 20 years ago or so, after school enrichment was something that I was unfamiliar with, where kids stay
Mm,
after school for an hour, they get to try something new. They might try a taekwondo class or learn Japanese or, do an
yeah.
art class or something. And I just thought, wow, this is fantastic for kids. It's
Yeah.
fantastic for working parents. And then I thought, I put my entrepreneur hat on and I thought, wow, if I could have little businesses in every single school in my community, this,
Yeah.
this could be something. So that's really how I started
Cool.
Sticky Fingers Cooking, as a culmination of my love of travel, art, good food, being a parent, and
Yeah.
then being an entrepreneur. So that's how Sticky Fingers started, with an idea for my kitchen table, with along
Yep.
with my mother and my husband, and just thought, this is my wacky idea. What do you think? And we started with schools, and that's really how it began.
Yes. And then now it's of a franchise model and expansion beyond just the initial location that you built, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So we're
Hmm.
non-brick and mortar. So we don't have our own location. So we
Okay.
go to where kids are. So we go to
Uh,
schools and summer camps and community centers and public libraries.
yeah.
And we have the good fortune of being a successful business for over 14 years.
Wow.
And what that really has afforded us is not only building an incredible executive team, an incredible team of primarily
Hmm.
men that we've built this all together. But we've seen the trials and tribulations that go into building a business, and
Yep.
we just started franchising back in 2 years, not even 2 years ago, in
Okay.
2023. So what's wonderful is that we already had our systems in place. We have
Hmm.
proprietary technology that kind of
Hmm.
bound the whole business together. And so we were really able to offer our franchise owners a whole, we call it a silver platter of a
Mm.
business that's just ready to roll out
Cool.
and tried and true.
Amazing. Yeah, I love probably so many fun little food references that you can make in your proprietary technology and processes and systems would be fun.
Yeah, our food puns are just are melded into our daily work. Yeah,
Oh, I love it.
you butter believe it.
Yep, I'm sure there's plenty of those. Oh, so cool. So what would you say is a pivotal maybe failure or learning opportunity you encountered in this journey of the 14 years, and how did addressing it and your approach to addressing it shape the growth strategy?
Oh, I love that question. I mean, there's almost too many to count, right? As business owners
Mm,
and as a founder of a business, you
hmm.
are built for those ups and downs. I would say that, at the very beginning, probably about uh, 12 to 13 years ago, we started expanding organically into other states and other markets, and that was
Yeah.
something that was just like, wow, okay, like this is a fledgling
Yeah.
business, and but we know that it works. The demand has always exceeded the
Hmm.
demand for our classes have always exceeded what we were able to do, and so we knew that the demand was there. We had the business model that was fledgling, and we
Hmm.
decided to organically grow into three different states. And so that
Okay.
was, that was years of realizing, okay, we need to tighten up this system and that system. And so that was just like an ongoing project, an ongoing uh, challenge to make sure that we were able to support then our many employees in many different states. So
Mm.
that was a big obstacle at the beginning. I would
Hmm.
say in the last 5 years, I think everybody's obstacle was COVID, and that was ours as well. Is that having COVID and having all of the schools shut down, that was something that was just like, wow, nobody saw that happening. And
Yeah.
what it gave us, Jill, was like a time to kind of reflect. I had mentioned that, as we know, success is never linear. And so
Yeah.
COVID gave us a time to really like look back, look behind us and say like, wow, look
Hmm.
at everything that we've built. We've just been going, going, going.
Yeah.
And so my team and I had a moment to pause and reflect and to say like, we've built something pretty amazing here, and it gave us a moment to look into women in business in the United
Hmm.
States historically. And we
Hmm.
started looking at the statistics, and Jill, we were appalled. I was horrified. I was looking at the statistics of women business ownership in the US. We own
Yeah.
41% of the businesses, which, okay, we're over 50% of the population, but we
Right.
own 41% of businesses. That doesn't sound too bad. But then if you
Right.
dive in even further,
Yeah.
less than 2% of women-owned businesses gross over $1 million a year. Less than
Mhm.
2%.
Yeah.
I found that absolutely shocking.
Hmm.
So, we
Yeah.
always wanted to spread Sticky Fingers Cooking to other communities. We knew that we know that what we do is so important, teaching kids an essential life skill where they're
Hmm.
hands-on cooking, they're learning about new cultures, they're learning about carrots and uh, and and every fruit and vegetable you can imagine. Why olive oil is good for you. I mean, absolutely every ingredient.
Yeah.
And we knew that this was really important. And we thought if we can also create female business owners along the way, this
Oh
sounds like
man.
this sounds like a win-win. And so we just jumped into franchising head
Mm,
first. We are so thrilled that we do. The more that we're in the franchise system and industry, the
yeah.
more in love with it. When done right, it's a magical alchemy of
Yes.
creating
Yes.
business owners. So
Exactly. Creating an economy and expanding into a market in such a meaningful way with an idea that can also transform economically the landscape of women business owners and empowering them with the tools to create a successful business is such an impact. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And then look, going back to statistics, because making
Hmm.
decisions based on data is always a good idea. But Jill, the statistics are that small businesses, 80% of them fail within 5 years, and it's not
Hmm.
because no passion or not a fantastic idea or the founder doesn't have all the energy in the world. It's the death by a million paper cuts. It's all the things that go into forming a business and all the things you have to think about. And the
Mm.
franchise model, it reverses that on its head. 80% of franchise owners are very successful after 5 years because the
Mm.
systems are already put in place. And
Right.
then the business owner just needs to focus on
Yes.
growing
Following the
their
playbook. Yep.
exactly, exactly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Super exciting. So, with developing all of that, what were some indicators for you in the journey that either you as a business owner or now in the seat of really being able to work with other franchise owners and incorporate more business owners into your landscape and what you've built? What were some indicators of being overly or too deeply involved in the day to day? How do you kind of address that with the model to ensure
Mm-hmm.
that, these business owners are truly in their seat of genius to grow the business and not be so inundated in the day to day?
I love that. The seed of genius. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
As a business owner and a founder myself, I definitely
Mhm.
found myself um, over the last 14 years completely overwhelmed, not being able to give up control. And I personally was able to do that, to kind of step away from the day to day about 8 years ago, which was very, very difficult and the
Mhm.
most empowering thing that I've ever done. So, what's really, really nice, just from my personal experience and trusting our executive team, that's just incredible, and letting people step into the role of their biggest and highest use and their best and highest use has been
Mhm.
something that has transformed Sticky Fingers Cooking as a whole. So, when we're bringing on our new franchise owners, we really talk about that from day one. We talk about
Mhm.
this is how successfully to structure your business so that you're not overwhelmed. This is how to delegate to this person. This is how to use all of the systems so that your job as a leader in your own community and your own business is to connect with, in our case, new schools, to the students, to the
Yeah.
parents, your community at large, so that you can really empower kids and teach as many kids as possible how to cook through the Sticky Fingers cooking model. So
Mhm.
we have ongoing, I host a monthly roundtable about the soft skills of business leadership. Our COO runs a peer group, talking
Mhm.
about different pressures and things that are happening within the organization or within a school year, things that we've
Uh-huh.
learned over the last 14 years about how to
Yeah.
navigate things. Our CFO runs monthly financial literacy classes and how to be how to be financially literate and in your own business. So we really do empower our franchise owners and really look at the system holistically to avoid
Mhm.
that burnout that I definitely felt 8 years ago before I stepped out of the day to day.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Making some, I mean, that's just an extension of other value that you bring then is really the coaching and the guidance. I think that many of these might be first time business owners that they need an understanding and the tools to equip them to set the business up well, to not depend so much on them and their bandwidth. That's amazing.
That's exactly right. And,
Mhm.
the way that I'm kind of looking at it is that we are seeing that our franchise owners at the start of their business are much more successful than we ever were at the
Mm,
beginning. We
mhm,
were we had the thousand million paper cuts. We're trying to figure out all these systems, and they're just
mhm.
able to launch immediately.
Yeah,
And so that has been amazing. And personally, I'm looking at it as, what would I want if I was a
right.
franchise entering a system? And I know I would want all the support in the world, which
Yeah.
14 years ago I wasn't able to have.
Okay. Amazing. Yeah. Can you share maybe an experience where you felt trapped in the business, maybe prior to that time frame of really alleviating, yourself and then being able to learn from that experience? What strategies did you implement to create that space for you to grow and scale?
Yeah, I probably have a response that is not MBA approved, but the way that I have grown this business is with people that I trust and people that I love.
Mm,
So I work with family members. I work with my entire neighborhood, primarily women that we have raised our children together. We have amazing. There's been there. I have an amazingly talented neighborhood. So at every stage of the game for the last 13 years, whether it's our chief of staff, where I think it was 12 or 13 years ago, we were at a block party. We'd been friends forever. And she had said, oh gosh, her youngest child was about to start, I think, kindergarten. And she said, I really need to get back into the workforce. And I realized I've known you for years. And what did you used to do? Oh, I used to manage this. So I used to manage that. And I said, what are you doing tomorrow? So she was hired, and I can't do anything without her. She's
oh
our
my
chief of
gosh.
staff. I mentioned our CFO. We raised our kids together. We've been friends for 20 years. I had
Oh,
I had talked to her about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, and said, I think we're thinking about franchising. And you were a CFO for a franchise brand many years ago. What do you think? And she said, can I be in this? So
hmm,
really, every time there has been a bottleneck, something that was just like, see, like, I can't do this. I don't have the skill set. I don't know where to go from here. I have just really taken a deep breath, looked around me, and I found very incredible women, and we've been building this business together. So really kind of looking at what I need, looking at who's around me, who I trust, who who I think would be a really good partner. And so
yeah.
that's how I've grown, and that's how I find the relief, to step out of the day to day.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. To build it with a circle too of talent that's around you, of people you already trust and already know is such a gift because that doesn't always happen. So
Yeah, and they're always, I never want to be the smartest person in the room, and I'm certainly not anymore with all these masterminds behind me.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
incredible. How can business owners then design systems and processes that allow their company to thrive without constant oversight to ensure that growth? How are you kind of leading that with a franchise model too?
Again, going back to the years of trial and error and seeing what works and what doesn't, driven
Yeah.
by data, seeing like,
Hmm.
and by years of having hundreds of employees before we
Mm,
franchised, we had hundreds of
hmm.
employees in 3 different states, and seeing like, oh my gosh, this role leads to burnout. This role is not possible without a supportive person behind them. Really kind of, it's a puzzle piece, and really looking at all of that, and then honing in holistically all of our systems so that they all feed into what works best. So we've had trial and error of realizing, what works best in every market that we're in, and revamping our systems from how we train our chef instructors to how we set up the financial model for each location.
Hmm.
That we've had all of this time to really figure that out. We also, a lot of people are really surprised to hear that we're a tech company, but we are a full-fledged tech company. We have a full
Mm.
proprietary technology platform that we have been developing for the last 13 years. So we have an entire tech division.
Mm.
It's under our umbrella, but
Yeah.
that runs 85% of the day-to-day operations within Sticky Fingers Cooking, from
Hmm.
financial PIs to automatic payroll to it holds all of our IPs. We had 3,000 recipes, all of the things. It's a
Yeah.
logistics registration. It does 85% of everything. It's also a CRM. So it like literally does everything.
Oh
And
my goodness. Yeah.
but
Incredible.
you can't just develop that overnight. You can't just,
Right.
have an idea, hire a tech company and say, or a developer and say, this is what we need to support this business. You really
Right.
have to have 14 years or longer in business to see exactly what you need to support
Hmm.
franchise owners. So
Right.
that's what we're just really excited about, that we're able to share that with our franchise
Yeah.
owners now.
That's incredible. Yeah, a turnkey solution in that, because I think that's usually the biggest hiccup in ownership is all the infrastructure technology wise required to, yeah, to flow the signups and payment and CRM systems, and all of those can be so disjointed and built in such an infrastructure that disjoints things. So to have all of that kind of turnkey is an incredible value add. You make it so
Yeah.
easy.
Well, yeah, I mean, but those systems, just like you said, Jill, are
Yeah.
typically built in silos they're built in silos to accommodate, like, if,
Yeah.
I know so many franchise brands, huge ones, the ones that you would know, that is their household names, where they have
Hmm.
10 different softwares that they bring together to
Right.
make a system work. Um, I
Right.
can't, I can't even imagine that. And, you know, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. I always felt, I think that we all deal with imposter syndrome from
Hmm.
from time to time or daily. And I don't have a traditional business degree. I don't have an MBA.
Mm.
I'm definitely that visionary in the company, and I'm somebody that needs to have a chief of staff, a COO, a CFO. Like, I need all of these
Hmm.
very, very focused individuals with amazing talents behind me,
Right.
because it didn't make any sense, honestly, 13 years ago, after founding Sticky Fingers Cooking 14 years ago, to start a tech company. I
Right.
mean, we had like, 30 schools in Denver and Boulder that we were working with.
Hmm.
But I definitely saw that vision of where this could be. I didn't know how we were going to get there or where we were going to get there, but we have been building for growth since day one.
Hmm.
And so that's where I feel very comfortable as a leader, in trusting my
Yeah.
intuition and my knowing that this can be a big thing, because what we do is so important.
Absolutely. Yes. And then when you've built a foundation of a really strong team to elevate you again to truly be in that genius of visionary, forward facing, taking this model and multiplying it, the more impactful you can become in that. And then those leaders that you've entrusted to help grow and to build this with you, the more impactful they are. So kudos, because it's not very often that people start that process and know that intuitively from the beginning and kind of learn the hard way. So
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
we're bringing absolutely incredible franchise owners of all
Yeah.
backgrounds. We're thrilled that 60% of our franchise owners are women,
Hmm.
40% are people of color, and over 10% are our military veterans. So we're very
Mm,
excited about that. And these are just incredible people that are changing their lives, their families' lives financially, but then also making a giant impact in their community.
yeah. Oh, amazing. Yeah, huge impact. So for you, what would you say are some common psychological or operational barriers that maybe prevented you early on from stepping back? And how can these obstacles be identified to overcome that? What would you say and suggest to business owners maybe experiencing maybe some of those barriers that you had?
hmm Yeah, I mean, I think that when starting a business from scratch, with an idea and it's just you or maybe one other person, I
Hmm.
don't think there's any way around not having that you have to do it all, that you are working 80 to 100 hours a week just to get the thing off the ground when you're building a business from scratch. And some of that I think is important to test your grit and your stamina
Yeah.
and to make sure that you're really passionate about this business that you're trying to form from nothing.
Hmm.
And when I realized that, wait, have I talked to my kids today? Have I sat down with my husband lately? Have I gone outside for a walk around the block? Like when you realize that you're kind of at that sense of overwhelm, again,
Hmm.
it's like being able to step outside yourself and look down from above and pretend that you're your own best friend. Hopefully we all are our own best friends, but speaking to myself like I'd speak to my best friend, like, hey, I'm
Mm,
worried. Hey, is this really the best use of your time? Are you really, by burning yourself out, are you actually being the leader that you want? Are you really giving something to,
hmm.
whatever needs and to yourself? And the answer is always no. And then being able, especially women, because we really do it all. We really do, and
Yeah.
we're often the glue to so many things
Hmm.
that and I don't know about you, but I always have a really hard time asking for help. I can be very, very stubborn with that. And so whether that's help personally, calling a friend, hey, let's go out for a drink or let's go for a walk around the block, whatever it might be,
Right.
to looking at your team members, and really looking at the genius that's on your team. Maybe you have a part-time employee that you're just like, wait a second, maybe you can step into this role that can really, really help me. That's how I grew my business, and looking around me and looking at the people that, not only that I trusted, but that
Mm,
they to, that somebody, and so really kind of looking around you and seeing where, I need to ask for help, and to ask for help and assistance is strength. And that's the only way that we can grow, both
abs-
personally and professionally.
yeah. Yeah. Ask for more help. I think the more we go it alone or get in that zone, I think of resiliency can be a double-edged sword because we're moving things forward and yet we're isolating things in a way and building a dependency on just ourselves. Then s- the psychological factor of that and the we really are holding so much as women specifically in just in thought, right? Everything we have to think through and plan through by nature and feminine energy, we don't really compartmentalize well
Right.
as men that can just fully turn one thing off and shift that masculine energy of like focus. And not to say we're any less focused when we are in the zone, but I can totally relate to that just in terms of the mental load. And when you're in that zone, it's almost harder for us to come out of that to articulate where we even need help because we're just so we can become stubborn in that and resilient in a lot of ways, but where there could be so many areas for us to explore bringing somebody else into the equation and relieving us. I think oftentimes women are more likely to just kind of ride through that to the point of burnout. So it's so huge psychologically to recognize and understand and self-awareness when we're doing that and when we're in those patterns. Because yeah, it's funny when I ask myself the same questions, it's like I haven't even breathed fresh air today outside. Like, what am I doing? Right. But it's such a pull to kind of sit in what we're doing because it's hard to stop like when we're on that train, but if we don't, it's a slippery slope. So recognizing when we need that and to bring more people in is is such a strength. It's such a strength because the last thing we need then is being at the end of that rope because you were trying to just power through, and then you're weak, right? Then you're really scrambling. So it's such a slippery slope, especially for women, I think, and that thought load and the processing of mental load of everything that we keep all kind of jumbled together in our minds and in our day to day. It all kind of blends together. So,
Wow, you said that so beautifully and eloquently. Like, yeah, just kind of encapsulated all of the feelings. And that made,
yeah.
before I met with you, I meet once a month with a group of women. They're all in the franchise industry. They're all franchisors. They're all CEOs. Some of them are founders. These are
Hmm.
all women, like absolute badasses, absolute visionaries,
Yeah.
women that I greatly admire. And we were just talking about this. We kind of we structure our forum where we give these, like, succinct updates about where we are at that moment, and we break it into three parts. We break into, what's our business wins, and our top 5%, our lower 5%. What about
Yeah.
personal? Our personal top five and lower five, and our
Yeah.
family, right? That's the three big things that really
Hmm.
are important to us.
Yeah.
And we all struggled, especially this today, with like, who am I? Like, it's so hard to figure out who I am as a person, from business, from family to myself. It gets so muddy. And I love how you said that,
Yes.
Jill, about the female and masculine energy. And while you were talking, it kind of like hit me like a ton of bricks that um,
Hmm.
8 years ago, before I stepped out of the day to day, my behavior was very selfish. It was very much like, no, I have to be the one that does everything. I am the one, this is my company. I'm the one that has to, like, be in charge and say yay or nay or everything. And 8 years ago, I realized I was being very selfish because I have these amazing people on our team, and I wasn't giving them their space to grow and shine, and honestly to
Hmm.
grow bigger and better than I could ever be in their role. And
Hmm.
that's what really elevated sticky fingers. But it just kind of, as you were talking, it just kind of struck me as, I think I
Mm,
was a little selfish by thinking I could manage it all, or that it should just be me.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's what I'm, trying to extrapolate in these conversations and for myself psychologically, what holds us back from growth truly is in ourselves, right? It's either decisions out of love or decisions out of fear. And if you categorize them within those two buckets, it's very evident in a decision made out of love doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't mean it comes naturally. Loving yourself, loving and respecting yourself, and then loving of your team and making a decision to elevate and trust and get out of the way is a decision out of love. It doesn't mean it's easy and it's always the easiest route, because oftentimes we will choose fear too because it's the most comfortable, or that stretch and that next step for us is scary. It is challenging and it's different, and challenging us to make a decision that doesn't rely on us. And it's a difference between like responsibility and control. Like we're responsible as leaders to ensure and to support and to kind of be that guiding light and north star when it comes to business operating in the way that it it is intended and toward that vision, that's a responsibility we have to make sure that we're not in the way of anyone else in their core genius to accomplish that. And when we're trying to control, the selfishness, and kind of you were speaking to that, is like it's a psychological factor of needing to hold on, probably for fear or for this insistence on controlling it. You need it to go exactly how you wanted it, and you weren't at a place then to truly let go and entrust and give out of love what the team needed to let go and relinquish your need for that control. So yeah, it is so common, right? Like it's way easier said than done, because it's your business, and it's like a baby, it becomes so incredibly important and interwoven into your life, that letting go of that is one of the hardest things we do, if not the hardest thing we do. So yeah, it's way easier said than done, but it's so vital to understand our tendencies and our patterns, and to recognize them, at least reflect, being in reflection often on the little things helps us really to see where those big things are too. And it's like, gosh, like had I done that a year earlier, or what took me so long to get to that, or why did I make this decision? Like, what was that rooted in? Can help us just continually own the responsibility of being strong leaders. So, yeah.
Love it. Thank you for seeing me.
Yeah, of course. Well, and it's funny, the topic of this feminine energy and feminine and masculine energy, for whatever reason, has been really prominent right now in the start of this year. Astrologically, if you study any of that stuff, and I know a lot of that is kind of mystical, with the moon and stars and placement of universe and all of those sorts of things, but we are in what is a feminine energy and feminine alignment in our universe, that is in this divine kind of feminine and uprising of that energy. And so, what that means, and I've been kind of reading a lot about it and looking into a lot of it, because when we can open our hearts to what that truly means, how scientific it is doesn't matter, right? We are all balls of energy. We are all this in existence. That is science. Like, we are made up of energy, and everything around us is an energy bouncing off of each other, right? And so, knowing that there is this a feminine need, and a need for that balance and feminine, has been kind of topic as we go into March. And then March is Women's History Month, International Women's Day. So I think that all of that is just kind of fresh in mind. And so it kind of comes naturally in conversations, often with women business owners, and those of us, most of us, are also advocates for women in business. I love working with and helping women entrepreneurs grow, because I am one, right? It's like we are stronger together and we rise together. And I think the more we can harness this shift in what it means to bring a feminine and masculine energy together in balance is so powerful, because I think a lot of us women initially, where we got to in our careers, required us to harness more masculine harness more masculinity. That's what it's meant for us to play on an equal playing field, is just be more like men. Just be more assertive, be more in control, be more, focused, and assert our way through. And that's kind of torn down the beauty of how those energies can balance together, because we need the flow and the intuition and the creativity that women and feminine energy brings, and balance with the masculine energy. So I think there's a huge shift in that. And a lot of business owners and women that that I'm coming across and getting to know, are we're finally at a place they feel, or starting point to feel like we can truly step into that and be that, whereas and be accepted in that. And that's really the only way it's going to grow together, to have for women to have more of a representation in business ownership and to be successful entrepreneurs, is if we can step into that and truly be as we are meant to show up in that energy that's been lacking. So Yeah.
to be our authentic selves. I'm here for all of the divine female energy. So bring it on, bring it on.
Yes.
Love
I
it.
know, more of that. Yeah, so it's for some reason it's just very prominent, I think, in whether it's podcast episodes or mentor groups and peer groups of women entrepreneurs, as it's felt, and there's a shift, right? Something kind it needs to shift. We've been through several cycles as business owners, parents, and full-time working women, and holding a lot more of that mental load capacity of parenthood, or and family and home and all of those things that just intertwine in a way that there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a shift.
Yeah, and I think that I mean women naturally we're so communicative and we really do. I think we're built to support each other. I think it's the
Hmm.
basis. I think it's like in our DNA to support each other, to work together. Again,
Hmm.
like what I love about the franchise model is that it's so interesting because it's such a male dominated industry, just the
Yeah.
franchise business model as a whole. It's shocking because, you know, being in it for almost 2 years, more and more and more, my executive team, we're all women. We're just like, waves. The franchise model is literally built for women. The only way that you're successful as a franchisor and a franchise brand is about relationships. You have to cultivate the relationships. It's this like symbiotic infinity loop relationship base. So
Hmm.
our franchise owners, their success is our success, and our
Right.
success is their success. And that is like, it's innately built into that feminine energy of supporting, of communication, of all of it. And so that's what I'm really excited about, is that I really
Hmm.
feel like in this little tiny ecosystem of the franchise universe, is that things
Yeah.
I see a seismic shift happening
Yeah.
where the women that are in the franchise industry are really recognizing this, and we're really shaking things up. And so I'm really excited about that. And you said that so beautifully, and it really ties into something, into what I'm seeing um,
Hmm.
in this industry that I'm currently in.
Yeah. Yeah. Excited to see what it brings. Honestly, I think there's just so much opportunity to tap into. The more we can raise each other up and lean into that shift. There is
Yeah,
a seismic shift, and there has to be. I think because of how things have evolved in the marketplace, in our economy, in our society, globally, really, with women and equality, that we're just not there. We're not there yet. And so there kind of has to be something disruptive in a way, because the system is broken, right? Our psychology and sociologically, the system and what we've been conditioned from men and women, um, is not where it needs to be for us to actually make that shift. So
I agree.
ready for it. So what are some approaches that you've taken and explored with business ownership, especially as it relates to the business value? So creating within what it is you've created and built a valuable asset. How has your shift in from the journey of what it was to franchise model, and making sure that you're building it in such a way that it is growing in value outside of your involvement?
Yeah, well, so Sticky Fingers from the beginning, I didn't have the word for it then, but the word for it now is, we're a social enterprise, meaning that
Mm-hmm.
we are a business in a community that
Mm-hmm.
that makes a profit, that has high margins and good revenue,
Hmm.
because money is energy. Money is what helps propel
Yeah.
um, good initiatives. And so you really, in this world that we've created, you can't do much without having money and revenue. And
Yeah.
so knowing that from the beginning,
Hmm.
even for our very, 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 very first class that we ever ran 14 years ago,
Hmm.
it was set the foundation, our core, it's baked into who we are, is that we offer scholarships for every single class that we're in. We give money
Hmm.
back. We give a percentage back to the schools that we work with. To date, we've given $1.5 million back to the schools that we partner with. Um,
Wow.
that that is very important to us. We have run over 80,000 cooking classes with over 200,000 kids. These
Mm.
kids, they're of every ability, cognitive abilities, emotional, social, emotional abilities, and different levels, different spectrums to physical abilities. And that is something that's like really, really important to us, is to be
Hmm.
incredibly inclusive, not exclusive. We haven't turned one child away from being
Hmm.
cooking classes, and that's really important. We work with nonprofits, 501c3s, all these amazing organizations, and then we also work with like the top echelon of private schools. So we work with all kids in the communities and in all venues. And
Mm.
our core values at Sticky Fingers Cooking, we have five, and they haven't changed since we started. We have trust, we
Hmm.
have innovation, we have impact, inspiration, and community. And that is just that's a thread that runs throughout the entire business. And like I said, it's baked into everything that we do.
Ah, beautiful. So amazing. You're creating something that's just so impactful and extends beyond just, the sole mission, one sole mission of cooking classes and teaching kids to cook. It's so much bigger than that and so mission focused. I love it.
I truly believe
Amazing.
in the win-win. I do. I believe that we can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're already making such an incredible impact. So, and the business owners that come into that and that purpose-driven initiative is so evident. So amazing. Yeah. So to conclude us, what would you say is practical steps or suggestions for entrepreneurs that are struggling to let go and still maintain alignment with their overall vision?
Yeah, always go back to, it's interesting. I think as a business owner and founder myself, there's a million fires all in the same moment, right? That take your attention and focus, and oh, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do. I think it's
Hmm.
really important. I love that we just, spoke about core values, is really taking a moment, and maybe many moments, and thinking about what are my core values to myself as a person.
Yes.
How,
Yes.
and then, it may seem silly, maybe is the word that's coming to mind, or not important to then have a core value and a mission statement for your
Hmm.
business. But really taking the time to do that, knowing that you can change it, you can update it, you can change it, you can adapt. We're all adaptable, ever evolving people. But at that
Hmm.
moment, realize, like, see how your own personal core values, how it translates into your business. And I mean, you could be a plumber, you can be an accountant, you can be a doctor, an attorney, whatever it might be. We're teaching kids how to cook, seeing
Hmm.
that alignment is together, and that you really embody that for yourself, um,
Hmm.
and that's how you're going to grow your business. When you talk about looking at growing and how to step away and being
Hmm.
overwhelmed, really looking at your team, and really looking and having, I have something that I call, well, I didn't come up with it, but it's 4x4 meetings. And it's 15-minute meetings every quarter
Hmm. Hmm.
with with everyone on my team. And that's 25 plus people.
Right.
And 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 I have a one-on-one check-in with them. They prepare some things to talk to me about. I come with questions, and
Yeah.
you find these hidden, unfortunately, hidden gems when
Hmm.
you're just like, wow, you are living in your genius, or I can see this potential in you, and you'll start finding those connections. As business founders and visionaries, that's what we're good at. Is like
Yep.
you can't start a business from scratch unless you see all the connections. And
Right.
so, really giving yourself that opportunity to see that connection with my own personal core values, how they relate to the core values in the business, and then seeing
Hmm.
what's already on your team and finding that diamond in the rough, because I guarantee they are there and they're just waiting to
Hmm.
talk for you and to help grow and support and be alongside of you. Um, I
Yeah.
firmly, I firmly believe that.
Yeah. So beautifully said. Thank you for that. So if people want to find out more, whether it's business opportunity or for, kids to master the art and skill of cooking, where's the best place to find out more?
Yes, our website. So stickyfingerscooking.com, that has lists all of our locations. We also have a recipe box, which is an online recipe resource for kids and for families. I think we have like maybe 1,500 recipes up there right now, but it's kind of a good way to see what we do and how we meld art and
Mm,
math and science and food history and global cultures into every single recipe that we write and produce. So that's a really good way to kind of understand what Sticky Fingers Cooking is. If you're
yeah,
interested in becoming a franchise owner with us, we're awarding territories from coast to coast across the country. And you can go to stickyfingerscookingfranchise.com. It's a mouthful,
perfect.
but
Yeah.
that's where you can find us.
Easy to remember those sticky fingers.
Yes,
If you can't go wrong with Googling that, sticky fingers
that's right.
cooking.
That's right.
Love it. Thank you so much, Erin. This was so great. All your insight and knowledge and sharing your mission with us and what you're doing in the world. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Jill. I feel like I could speak to you for days on end. And so
Aw.
let's do it again tomorrow.
All right. Same time, same place. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.